Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Talks by AdTech. And today we have with us one of my most favorite brands and a favorite brand with everyone who likes chocolates. Yes, you guessed it right. We have with us Mondelez and none other than Anjali Madan, who's the head of media for India and Bangladesh for Mondelez. Welcome, Anjali. Great to have you on Tech Talks.
Hi, Shiny. Thank you so much for having me over. Great to talk
Great.
to you again.
Yes, it was great catching up with you just before this conversation. But let me ask you this question that is a burning question and something I ask to all marketeers is how was 2020 and what are your learnings and what do you expect 2021 to be like?
2020, I think, was absolutely chaotic. We went into the year. We have a Jan-December year to our marketing operations, and we went into the year. And by March, which is actually not even by March, by Feb, which is when our biggest season campaign happens, Valentine's Day. Just immediately after that, we went into lockdown. And of course, no one was prepared for it. No one knew what were the ways of working from home. It was a new experience for all of us. So 2020 has been quite challenging. There were challenges on business as well, which of course has recovered very, very well post the different stages of opening up that have happened. And we have bounced back pretty well. And I think 2021 should be interesting. I don't think that this situation is going to go away anytime soon. We're going to continue to be cautious. But as a business, and I think as a country, we are all very, very resilient. So hopefully, we will all come back to getting used to this way of life.
Absolutely, we will. We will come back. So, Anjali, one of my most memorable campaigns of 2020 was the Mondelez campaign, the Diwali campaign, which was so beautiful, so inspiring,
Thank you.
and so the real thing to say is that you guys have a really, really big heart to do a campaign like this. Tell me some of the nitty gritties. How did you pull it off? What was the thought behind this? How did the execution happen? Tell me about
Right.
this campaign.
So, this campaign was on Cadbury Celebrations, which is one of our largest gifting brands in the category. Diwali is a very, very big festive occasion for us. It's one of those moments in which, our sales really peak. Our business does exceedingly well. But however, given the situation, we were extremely weary of, doing even a full-fledged campaign this year. Having said that, there has been a great piece of work that has come out of a collective effort between Ogilvy, the Mondelez media team, Wavemaker, my agency, our digital partners, both Google and Facebook. And we conceived this campaign together and executed it together. The essence of the campaign is centered around what the brand stands for, which is the generosity, the spirit of generous giving. And we realized that during the lockdown, there are a lot of, local local retail stores who would have lost business significantly because of the situation. So it was just our way of, helping them, getting people to go to the local store over there and, purchasing from their local kiranas. So it was just one way of showing our sense of gratitude um, and, uh, demonstrating some of that generous spirit that the festive season also brings about. Um,
Wonderful, absolutely
yeah,
wonderful.
in terms of tech, I think it was a mammoth exercise for us because we had mapped, I think, close to 1,800. When we began the campaign, it was about close to 1,800 retail outlets. And then subsequently, there were a lot of retail outlets that, came back to us and said, I'm not in that list. How do I get on over there? Right. So we allowed then consumers to enter, details of a local outlet that was close to their home that they, purchase things from. And we actually created dynamic advertising around it. So extremely difficult tech piece to pull off, but very, very exciting. The campaign has been extremely well received. It has been a fabulous season given the circumstances as well. So I think great team effort paid off.
That is wonderful and really inspiring. So all this data of all those individual retailers was residing with you, uh, and then based on proximity
Yeah,
and
so
zip code
based on your
targeting.
location, it
Yeah.
would automatically, pick the closest retail outlets and then serve the ad to you with that local outlet or the retail store mapped to
Right.
your area.
Fantastic piece of work, because we constantly talk about dynamic creativity and proximity marketing. Now we have the best sort of example to show this, that this is what it is exactly. So
Yeah, it was
congratulations on that.
absolutely hyper local marketing. I think it was the first for us also, and maybe for the CPG industry as well.
Yes.
But very, very exciting. And it was amazing to see that it could unlock the potential of so many other, opportunities around hyper local marketing.
Fantastic. I think it's beautiful. So one more thing that you guys did during Diwali, and when I went to my local store, I saw these pieces of chocolate, which was different flavors, new flavors. And when I researched a bit, said that that these were the flavors which were suggested to you by consumers. What was the
Absolutely.
thought behind? I saw the pan flavor, and there was something else, couple more. So tell
Yes.
us about that. What was the thought behind doing
Yeah.
a
So,
consumer
yeah.
based campaign like that?
So we are a very consumer-centric organization, and this campaign that we ran is known as the Madbury Campaign. It's a campaign
Wow,
that runs globally as well. It's one of those campaigns where we take inputs from consumers and we create a flavor which has been chosen, voted for by consumers. So we have a full-fledged microsite on which there is a plethora of ingredients, I think close to 80 plus combinations that you can use to create your own flavor. You can name it what you want, and then it goes out to consumers to vote for, and then the winning flavor basically is something that is put into market. So this year we had two flavors. One was called Panjir, which is pan and anjeer, and the other one was called Hinto Mint, which is basically a mint chocolate. So yeah, it's an ongoing campaign. We do it every year, and the intent is to, of course, bring our brands closer to our consumers.
as a consumer, definitely, that's something that's going to stay with me, and love those flavors.
Thank you.
So on the same note, Anjali, I see that Mondelez is going more and more the D2C route, direct to consumer, and your communication and your engagement. And a lot of CPG brands are doing that, but I think Mondelez is doing it even better. There is the humaning campaign that you're doing internationally. How important is the D2C strategy for you, and what are the pillars really on which you are building your D2C strategy? Right? So, how does it translate also into media buying, for example? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, like I said earlier, we are a completely consumer centric organization. It's not something new, it's something that we've always been doing. The consumer is the heart of all our decision making. And in doing that, we every lever of the organization has the consumer, embedded into the ways of working and into the thinking. The same thing goes for media as well. We are completely clued into what consumers are doing. So over the years, we have completely changed our media mix from being a very, very TV centric kind of buying mix to now moving where the consumer is in the digital space, right? And not just in terms of being on select platforms, but also in terms of how we do our targeting, how we personalize our communication for our consumers. uh, we have done several campaigns where we have personalized at scale our comms to consumers to make sure that there's really some element of something for our consumers to take back. Apart from that, we've also built some prowess in the space of e-commerce. So we used to have a website which was meant largely for corporate gifting. Today we have a D2C website as well, where you can actually personalize a gift and send it out to a near or dear one. So in every aspect of our marketing endeavors, there is some element of the consumer's needs that are inbuilt into our strategy.
And on the same lines, Anjali, one of the precepts of marketing, what you and I have been taught, is that do what the consumer needs or go where the consumer goes. And the consumer has really been unpredictable in 2020. So we've seen them, going OTT, and while all of this was already there, it's been accelerated. We're seeing them less on print. How has your media strategy, as a legacy company, as a company that's been advertising, marketing for such a long time, how has your media strategy evolved in response to this? Is there a new media plan that you work on now?
So, Shani, there are a couple of things that have changed, and we will continue to see that change going forward. But there are a lot of things that took off at major trends during the lockdown, which are now returning to more normalcy. There was a very high consumption because people were home of, both television as well as digital video content getting, consumed heavily. Genres of certain digital platforms getting consumed very heavily, recipes for instance, DIY at home and things like that. These are all things that we've leveraged during the lockdown, so our plans have changed. We of course had a very popular campaign, I don't know if you're aware of it, called Oreo at Home. The campaign was centered around all the things that you could do while you're at home, and it was keeping in line with the playful nature of the brand. So we had a campaign that was targeted at certain cohorts. We went out to those who were doing arts and crafts at home, who were doing recipes at home, because those were all the trends that were happening at that point in time. Of course, a lot of media consumption is now coming back to more normal levels. However, there are some things that have happened during the lockdown which I think are here to stay. And it is something that we should work towards, definitely as an organization. One of the things is that, the evolution of this whole transacting online, or the comfort that people have now with transacting online, would have ordinarily taken a much longer life cycle to happen. However, now pretty much everybody is okay with, purchasing online. And I think the readiness with which people have adopted digital, uh, irrespective of where you are, or which part of the country are you in, what pop strata are you in, what income level you are in, everybody has pretty much adopted digital much faster than they would have ordinarily. So that is something to keep in mind, and therefore our focus on digital continues to stay. The other big thing is e-commerce. It's a small part of our business, but it is scaling, and we definitely see merit in investing in e-commerce going forward. So some thrust will be there as well. So those are the kind of changes you will see. We have definitely, like all advertisers, done the things that have been trending during the lockdown, but now it's more about more strategic decisions in 2021.
So definitely things moving more digital with D2C and with online payments, uh, clearly the way to go. So what have been some of the new technologies or some of the new media that you've explored in 2020, and what have been your takeaways from there?
We did try experimenting with some new things. We tried audio for one. uh, we know audio has been around for a while, but it's somehow not gained traction to that level. But now we are seeing that voice and audio seems to be an interesting space. That is one thing that we have experimented with. So we had something that we did on Silk. More recently, we've just launched um, the do nothing mode on Google Assistant. I don't know if you've seen that, but it is really fun because if you go onto Google Assistant and you say, "Hey Google, eat a 5 star," it moves into the do nothing mode, and then there are lots of fun things you can ask Google Assistant, and it gives you like really witty answers which are in the space of the brand. So we've done something around audio, and it's worked very, very well for us. The other thing that we have done is that we've used Instagram extensively to be able to drive social commerce. So we did some work with them around Silk, where we've used both collaborative ads as well as Instagram shopping. In fact, we were the first CPG brand to do both in India, and it's become an important part, I would say, of our e-commerce mix, because we're definitely seeing traction over there happen. The numbers are not very, very large, but it's definitely something to keep working on.
Fantastic. I'll definitely try the Google Home thing. Do
Shit.
nothing more. Works very well for my current state of mind. So, coming back to your Diwali campaign, Anjali. So, overall, with data laws coming in place and with the GDPR and the cookie-less browser in the works, there are a lot of challenges in place. Uh, you know, uh, how are you guys? How are you planning to respond to this? Because, like you said, you had first-party data, which was absolutely fantastic, and there was a huge scale that you were able to achieve out of this. So that is great. Is that the way forward for you, or are you exploring anything else?
No, that's definitely the way forward. I think with privacy laws becoming more stringent, it's important not just for us, but anybody who wants to be connected to their consumer to have their own data. And I think, like everybody, I mean, some of the people in the industry are way ahead of this curve. We are still learning, and the endeavor is at some point in time to be completely self reliant in this space. And we are definitely working towards not just acquiring and our own first party data, but also using it to leverage our campaigns going forward. So it should be a self-sustaining model where we are able to generate insights not just from media or media activation, but from everything from product development to product testing to your communication in market. Everything should be able to be fueled by this first party data. So that is definitely the endeavor for us in the future.
Fantastic, because I know scale is so difficult to achieve with first party data, but you've already done your first cut there, and we've seen that fantastic campaign. So best of luck going forward with that.
Thank you.
So coming to our next question, Anjali, ROAS, return on ad spend. I think it's become the most important parameter for marketers in 2020. And I definitely don't blame them. It's been a difficult year. Everyone is trying to do ROAS in some form or the other. So uh, I want to ask you, what are the metrics that are going to be priority for you in 2021? So let's not fight the war that was supposed to be fought in 2020, but what's the war for you in 2021? Or
I
what are
think
the metrics?
ROAS is very, very cliched. Everybody is chasing that. No, it is an important metric. I'm not saying it is not. However, I think that that is not the only metric for us to be measuring. ROAS is good to look at when you're looking at your e-com investments, but when you're looking at your investments on other media, it's not just your return on advertising spend, but it's also what is it doing for your brands? How is it moving your brand metrics? What's it doing for the consumer? What sort of insights are you generating? How is it fueling your strategy? So it's not just about return on your advertising spend. I think a critical thing for us in 2021 will be to focus on driving consumer driven insights um, from data. um, and that is something that we are going to definitely be putting some of our might behind.
Fantastic. A recent term that I heard was ROCE, which is return on customer engagement, which I definitely think is much better to chase. You
Absolutely.
so On the same lines, like, for a lot of marketers, ROS was priority. There are a lot of challenges, when you're moving so much of your budget to digital. There are so many challenges that you face or continue to face. Now we have so many solution providers who work with us, who continually developing products to help with some of these challenges. So what were your biggest challenges, so we can get some insight into what kind of products do you want people to develop for you?
I think the biggest, and then this is an industry-wide challenge. I wouldn't say it's just for Mondelez. I think the biggest challenge that we face today is one is a single view of the consumer, which we don't have, which developed markets like China have. There is, of course, a huge gap in that space. We have a disjointed view of the consumer. We also do not have a full funnel journey of the consumer in the e-com space, and that is also very, very challenging because you're investing and you're not getting back data on where your consumer is, what your consumer is doing, and how you can enhance that experience. So definitely these are things that the industry should be working towards. um, Also, I think for the longest there has been some talk about the industry coming out with a unified metric of measurement for digital, which is still completely missing. So different, depending on which agency partner you work with, everybody has a different way of measuring it, and everybody is following totally different metrics. So I think that is the need of the hour.
So attribution, all our measurement partners can start working on this. I think it's a very globally also, attribution is one of the
Absolutely.
most important things that we're hearing. So yes,
I think
thank you.
US and China are the only two markets who have that technology and have that um, wherewithal to be able to get as much consumer data as they want. I think
Yes,
all other markets are lagging behind. So it's not just us. I think it's a problem across the globe.
it's definitely a problem across the globe. In fact, from the US also, I'm hearing a lot around attribution, and one view of the consumer is so important. But anyways, this has been a very, very interesting conversation. Thank you so much, Anjali.
Thank
We hope
you.
you stay in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you.